You already know something's wrong. You feel it every morning. That weight. That gap between who you are and who you could be. You've tried courses, books, routines, motivation. But nothing sticks. Because you're trying to renovate a house built on a broken foundation. You can't upgrade your way out of an identity that was never yours to begin with. Most people spend their entire lives polishing a version of themselves they inherited, from family, from friends, from fear. They call it growth. It's not. It's maintenance. Real transformation doesn't begin with addition. It begins with destruction. You have to burn the old you down completely. No safety nets, no backup plans, no one holding your hand. This isn't about becoming a better version of yourself. It's about becoming someone entirely different. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius rewrote himself in the middle of war. Epictetus rebuilt his mind while enslaved. Seneca found clarity in exile. They didn't improve. They died and rose again. And that's what this is. A death, a void, a rebirth. It's not comfortable, it's not fast, and you'll walk most of it alone. But if you're ready to stop pretending and start becoming, then listen closely. Because what comes next will either save you or scare you away. And both are exactly what should happen. Comment "No excuses, no retreat" below if you're serious about walking this path. Make it public, make it real. Let's start with the truth nobody wants to hear. The person you are right now is probably your biggest problem. Not your circumstances, not your job, not your relationships. You. And I don't mean that harshly. I mean it clearly. Because the version of you that exists today was built under conditions that no longer serve you. You were shaped by people who didn't know better, environments that rewarded comfort over courage, and a culture that taught you to fit in instead of stand apart. You absorbed their beliefs, their fears, their limitations, and over time you started calling those things you. But they're not. They're just patterns, and patterns can be broken. Here's what Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, alone on a battlefield. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say you have power over your past. He didn't say you can control what happened to you, or who hurt you, or what you lost. He said you have power over your mind, and your mind is where your identity lives. That's the first fire you need to light. The stories you've been telling yourself about who you are, what you're capable of, and what you deserve, they need to burn. You've been holding on to a version of yourself that feels safe because it's familiar. Even if it makes you miserable, at least you know it. At least you can predict it. And prediction feels like control. But it's not control, it's a cage. The Stoics called this attachment. We attach to outcomes we can't control, to people who can't save us, to identities we've outgrown, and we suffer because we refuse to let go. Epictetus put it plainly. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. So ask yourself, what are you still clinging to that you have no power over? Maybe it's the approval of people who don't understand you. Maybe it's the comfort of routines that numb you instead of challenge you. Maybe it's the belief that you're too old, too damaged, too late to start over. Whatever it is, it has to go. Not eventually, not when you feel ready, now. Because here's the paradox. You'll never feel ready to let go of the old you. That version of you will fight for survival. It'll give you every excuse, every rationalization, every fear-based reason to stay small. And if you listen, you'll stay stuck. The burning isn't a single moment. It's a decision you make over and over again. It's waking up and choosing discomfort over distraction. It's walking away from people who pull you backward. It's deleting the apps, ending the conversations, and closing the doors that keep you tethered to a life you've already outgrown. Seneca warned about this. He said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Not people who keep you comfortable, not people who validate your excuses, people who improve you." And sometimes that means walking away from everyone. Let me be direct. If the 5 people you spend the most time with aren't challenging you, inspiring you, or holding you to a higher standard, then they're anchoring you to mediocrity. And you need to leave. Not because they're bad people, but because you're trying to become someone they'll never understand. That's the hardest part of the burning. It's not just habits and distractions. It's people, relationships, history, shared memories. But if those connections are built around the old you, they'll resist the new you, and you'll have to choose. Most people choose familiarity. They choose to be liked over being free. They choose to fit in over standing alone. And they stay stuck. You can't do that anymore. Because transformation isn't about addition, it's about subtraction. It's stripping away everything that isn't truly you until all that's left is the raw, unfiltered core. And that core, it's stronger than you think. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Stop debating, stop planning, stop waiting for permission. Burn the bridges, burn the excuses, burn the old identity, and walk into the fire with your eyes open. After the burning comes the void. This is the part nobody warns you about. The silence, the emptiness, the terrifying realization that you're standing alone in a space where nothing is familiar and no one is coming to save you. This is where most people turn back. They panic. They reach for their phone. They text the ex. They rejoin the group chat. They fill the silence with noise because silence forces you to confront yourself. And most people aren't ready for that. But you have to be. Because solitude isn't the enemy, it's the forge. It's where transformation actually happens. Not in the motivational video, not in the crowded gym, not in the group that cheers you on while secretly hoping you stay at their level. Solitude is where you meet the real you, the one beneath the performance, beneath the mask, beneath the version you present to the world because you think that's what people want to see. And here's the truth, that real you is probably uncomfortable, probably messy, probably carrying wounds you've been ignoring for years. But it's also powerful, and you'll never access that power until you're willing to sit alone with yourself and listen. Epictetus understood this. He was born a slave, physically disabled, owned by another human being, and yet he became one of the greatest philosophers in history. How? He mastered himself. He wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about that. He had no control over his body, no control over his circumstances, but he had total control over his mind. And that was enough. That's what solitude teaches you. When you strip away the distractions, the validation, the constant input from the outside world, you're forced to go inward. And inward is where your freedom lives. But let's be honest, solitude feels like loneliness at first. There's a difference, though. Loneliness is the ache of wanting connection you don't have. Solitude is the choice to be alone because you know that's where the work happens. Loneliness is reactive. Solitude is intentional. And if you're serious about rebuilding yourself, solitude is non-negotiable. You need space, Space to think, space to feel, space to unlearn the lies you've been telling yourself and rewrite the narrative. You can't do that in a crowded room. You can't do that while trying to please people who still see you as the person you used to be. This is why outgrowing people is so painful, and why it's so necessary. There are people in your life right now who love the old you. Not because they're bad people, but because the old you made them feel safe. The old you didn't challenge them. The old you stayed small, so they didn't have to confront their own stagnation. And when you start to change, they'll resist. They'll call it selfish. They'll say you've changed, and they'll mean it as an insult. They'll try to pull you back into the patterns and conversations and dynamics that keep everyone stuck. And you'll have to walk away. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." You're not poor because you walk alone. You're poor if you stay in relationships that drain you just to avoid the discomfort of solitude. So you let go. You outgrow. You break the emotional cycles that kept you repeating the same patterns with different people. And yes, it hurts. It hurts to watch people you care about stay in the same place while you move forward. It hurts to realize that some relationships were built on a version of you that no longer exists. But that pain is the price of freedom. And here's what nobody tells you. The void gets easier. At first, you'll panic. You'll question everything. You'll wonder if you made a mistake. You'll be tempted to go back. But if you stay in the void long enough, something shifts. You start to enjoy the silence. You start to trust yourself. You start to realize that you don't need constant validation or approval or company to feel whole. You start to become self-sufficient. And that's when the real power kicks in. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort for this exact reason. They deliberately put themselves in difficult situations, fasting, cold exposure, sleeping on the floor, not because they were masochists, but because they understood that discomfort builds resilience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Translation: the thing you're avoiding is the thing you need most. The discomfort of solitude, the pain of letting go, the fear of walking alone. Those aren't obstacles, they're the path. So stop running from the void. Stop filling it with distractions and noise and people who don't understand what you're trying to build. Sit in it. Feel it. Let it reshape you. Because on the other side of the void isn't emptiness. It's clarity. It's strength. It's you, unfiltered, unbroken, and ready to build something real. Now we build. You've burned the old identity. You've walked through the void. You've sat with yourself in silence and come out the other side. Now comes the hardest part, sustaining it. Because here's the truth most self-help content won't tell you. Motivation is a lie. It feels good. It gets you started. It gives you that rush of possibility when you're watching a video at 2 in the morning, convinced that tomorrow is the day everything changes. But motivation fades, always. You wake up tired, you have a bad day, someone criticizes you, you don't see results fast enough, and suddenly that fire you felt, gone. This is where most people quit. They mistake the absence of motivation for the absence of progress. They think if they don't feel like doing the work, it doesn't count. But that's backwards. The work counts most when you don't feel like doing it. That's when discipline takes over, and discipline is the only thing that lasts. Epictetus said it clearly: first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Not what you feel like doing, what you have to do. Because the new you isn't built on inspiration, it's built on repetition. It's built on doing the thing every single day, whether you want to or not, until it becomes who you are. Let me break this down practically. You need routines, not flexible, feel-good routines that you follow when it's convenient. Unshakable routines, non-negotiable systems that operate independently of how you feel. The Stoics practiced this religiously. Marcus Aurelius had a daily journaling practice. Seneca reflected on his actions every evening. Epictetus taught his students to examine their thoughts and reactions constantly. They didn't do this because it felt good. They did it because it worked. Repetition programs the mind. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're reinforcing a new neural pathway. You're training your brain to default to strength instead of weakness. And over time, that becomes automatic. You don't wake up and debate whether to work out. You just do it. You don't negotiate with yourself about whether to stay focused. You eliminate the option to quit. This is how identity shifts, not through big dramatic moments, through small, boring, repeated actions that compound over time. James Clear didn't invent this idea, but he articulated it well. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Your goals mean nothing if your daily systems are weak. So, build strong systems. Wake up at the same time every day, no exceptions. Train your body even when you don't want to. Read, write, create, reflect. Do the hard thing first before your mind has time to talk you out of it. And here's the key: emotional control. Most people think emotional control means suppressing your feelings. It doesn't. It means not letting your feelings control your actions. You can feel tired and still train. You can feel anxious and still create. You can feel lonely and still choose solitude over distraction. The Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, negative visualization. They imagined the worst-case scenario in advance so they wouldn't be blindsided by it. Seneca would imagine losing his wealth, his status, his health, not to be pessimistic, but to build resilience. Because when you've already mentally prepared for the pain, it loses its power over you. You can do the same thing. Before you start your day, visualize the obstacles. Visualize the moment you'll want to quit. Visualize the excuse your mind will offer. And then decide in advance how you'll respond. This is mental rehearsal, and it works. When the moment comes, and it will, you won't be caught off guard. You'll recognize it, and you'll act according to the person you're becoming, not the person you used to be. Now let's talk about work ethic. Work ethic isn't about grinding yourself into dust. It's not about hustle culture or toxic productivity. It's about showing up for yourself with the same intensity you'd show up for someone you respect. Because right now you're rebuilding, and rebuilding requires energy, focus, commitment. You can't afford to half-ass this. You can't afford to check out mentally while you're still physically present. You can't afford to waste hours scrolling, numbing, avoiding. Every hour you waste is an hour the old you wins. So treat your work, whatever that work is, like it matters, because it does. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." You don't need more time. You need to stop wasting the time you have. Build routines that protect your energy, eliminate distractions, create environments that make discipline easier and weakness harder. And most importantly, turn pain into power. Every moment of discomfort is data. Every failure is feedback. Every setback is a test of whether you're serious. The old you would have quit by now. The new you doesn't even consider it. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Stop seeing obstacles as reasons to quit. See them as confirmation that you're on the right path. Because easy paths don't build strong people. Hard paths do. So embrace the grind, embrace the repetition, embrace the days when nobody's watching and nothing feels exciting. Those are the days that count most. So here you are. You've destroyed the old you. You've walked alone through the void. You've built discipline into your bones and made discomfort your teacher. And somewhere along the way, without even noticing, you became someone different. Not better, different. You don't need validation the way you used to. You don't panic in silence anymore. You don't reach for distractions when life gets hard. You've learned to sit with yourself, to trust yourself, to rely on yourself. That's the rising. But let me be clear about something. This isn't a destination. You don't arrive at a finish line and declare yourself rebuilt. The new you is a practice, a commitment, a choice you make every single day. Because the old you, it's still there, waiting, whispering, offering you the comfort of regression whenever things get difficult. And you'll be tempted. There will be days when you want to go back, days when discipline feels too hard, and solitude feels too lonely, and the path ahead feels too long. But you won't go back. Because you know too much now. You've seen what's possible when you take full responsibility for who you become. You've felt the power of living according to your own standards instead of someone else's. And you can't unsee that. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." You've said it, you've done it. Now you live it. The clarity you've earned in solitude becomes the foundation for everything you build next. The strength you've forged through discipline becomes the armor you wear when the world tries to break you. You are no longer who you were. And that's not something you announce. It's something people feel when they're around you. You don't need to prove it. You don't need to explain it. You just are. So keep walking, keep building, keep choosing the hard path over the easy one. Because the person you've become isn't finished. They're just getting started. Now go. No permission needed. If you're ready to destroy what's holding you back and rebuild with discipline and clarity, drop a comment below. The old me burns today.